It is easier to disappear than to seethe. Seething requires heat, requires notice. To disappear is delicate, imaginary, subtle, slow, soundless. It can take years. It is not like a burst of flame, the red orange of fire, blaring for all to see. There is no smoke or glare, no demand for witness, for action. Disappearing requires little discipline. For me, it happened mostly by accident. A finger first, the pinky fading from the tip, then the oval mole on my forearm, followed by the flap of my right earlobe. The night I ducked into the whale's mouth, I was little more than half there. It was a time for celebration, 60 years of Fairyland, the gated world in miniature, surrounded by the raspy shores of Lake Merritt. Earlier, Mona and I entered through the strings of lights, festive bands of color, surrounded by a happy crowd humming with the gush of young mothers, showing their babies to the world and the world to their babies. Mine was a different business. A trade-off, an hour break, a heart-stopping transfer of child from mother to father. This was our new agreement. Paul would take Mona for an hour or two at a time. She was 10 months, still nursing, still tied to me in a physical, tangible way I could use as proof of her need and mine. She curdled in his arms, and I tugged myself away to the whale, which welcomed me with its round mouth wide open, dank with the stale air of algae and dust, still water, old and forgotten. I waited, crouched in the dark belly, feeling my lungs evaporate, one breath at a time. I could only hold and hold her empty form, imagining Mona to be safer than I ever was with Paul. But this too is part of the disappearance. Partial seeing is a form of omission that attaches itself so that if you give up one thing, you end up giving another. Eventually, all that remains is a sliver of nothing new, and by then you too are gone. Mona will know soon enough. She will ask for the whole story, the real one, the deep hole, the steep drop, the split in men, the mend and split, the heavy bags, the empty rooms, the ring I cannot stand to wear. She will ask about a way forward, a way back, and she will listen, attentive as stone, to the silence between sentences, waiting for a space to enter. There is only so much I can say. Words too disappear when you do. I have forgotten some of the most important already. As easy as an eyeball, there goes the way to say see, hear, sight. When the rhymes latch on, it gets worse. There goes fight, fright, ignite, relight, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. At the bottom of the whale is an empty fish tank where a mechanical crocodile sits gurgling brown bubbles. It is the least of what Fairyland has to offer. This place, a world colored in cracked pastel, beckons with rickety rides and wheels that grind, clanging on, screeching off. Everywhere the wavering tune of a music box ruined in the rain. Here there are wishes to make, wells for pennies, boats to pirates, houses with windows that open and close, painted flowers always in bloom. Children strapped onto wilting ponies wave as they circle the merry-go-round, surprised every time to find their parents there. Of course, these horses offer no progression, no diminishment of mothers, only a careful following, a hovering, an absorption of revolving animation. We light like a strobe each time our child comes around. Parenthood is part lock, part key, tight squeeze, small arms around a weary neck, a small head bending 1, 2, 3 nods away from sleep. It is a tenderness unnameable. It is what keeps me real even as I fade. I suppose every mother strives to keep her child from sinking into the quicksand of disappointment. I am no different. But even more, I fear Mona's actual, eventual disappearance. Little by little, feet first, full belly, up to her chin in understanding. If I tell her to hold out a hand every time, will she reach for me? Will she know to grasp the air, bone white as the summer fog, and find that I am still there? If I could, I would burst into flames. Maybe I would. If only to give Mona a sign, something to remember me by, a brightness, a light, an offering, an answer. When it was time, I left the damp den of the whale, walking on crooked feet, missing an ankle on one leg and a knee on the other, my spine askew. I looked for Paul by the dragon, our meeting spot. He was anxious, worried, angry as usual. Mona swung easily back to me. Her small hand caught on a strand of my hair, and she held on, tugging an honest reminder to stay. A crowd of kids rushed by, and we twirled out of the way, finding ourselves face to face with the long leather slit of the dragon's tongue. I pulled it, half expecting a charging flame, a momentous eruption intent on burning us both. Instead, a whole troop of thin, glittery bubbles drifted out. Gliding in a silent spiral, floating high and away on an invisible stream.